first interview on our YouTube channel. Andrea, I'm so happy we get to spend time together. Thank you for being here.
Hi, Julie. Thank you so much for hosting. I'm so excited.
Me too. We have so many things to talk about. So briefly, I'm just going to switch to French just so you understand. I will be translating to French for our channel, for our viewers.
Good.
Donc, bonjour à tous. Aujourd'hui, on discute avec Andrea Rangel, qui est une designer, auteur canadienne. On va présenter son nouveau livre, KnitOvation, qui est juste en arrière de moi. Donc, au fur et à mesure qu'on jase, je vais traduire. Puis si vous avez des questions pendant le direct, vous pouvez mettre vos questions dans le clavardage. Puis ensuite, bien sûr, je vais répondre aux commentaires. So, Andrea, my first question I wanted to ask you, how has your summer been? Anything interesting that happened to you this summer that you want to share with us?
It was beautiful. I live in British Columbia, so it's absolutely gorgeous here to just be outside. That's my biggest thing. I didn't do exciting things except for really preparing for my book. And
It's a lot of work.
well, the book was finished, and then it was all about just getting ready for the promotion. So we did do a lot of promotion, and I really like climbing. So I've been climbing a lot. I've been knitting a lot, and
What are your
enjoying the
favorite
gorgeous weather.
hiking spots near where you live?
There's a university close by that has a bird sanctuary that I love to go to. I love
What's
to
it called?
It's called Royal Roads.
Okay.
That's a fantastic place. And Francis King Park is nearby. There are a lot of trails, very old trees, and some of the trails are accessible and some of them are more challenging. So I love to be just in that park. It's very soothing and calming. So
I love that. Walking is hiking, being in nature is something that I enjoy as well. Donc, je demandais à Andrea qu'est-ce qu'elle a fait cet été, qu'est-ce qu'elle voulait partager avec nous qu'elle avait trouvé amusant. Puis, dans le fond, on vient de parler qu'elle aime beaucoup faire de la randonnée. Je lui ai demandé où. Donc, si vous visitez la Colombie-Britannique, elle nous suggère un sanctuaire d'oiseaux. So, the bird sanctuary, what's it called again?
Royal Roads University.
Donc, vous avez compris. Royal Roads University. Cherchez ça votre prochaine visite. Et ensuite, un parc aussi qui est apprécié beaucoup. Again, what's the name of the park?
Francis King.
Francis King Park. Good. So, Andrea, I don't even think that I know that myself, even though we've met a couple of times. How did you came into the fiber world? How did that happen in your life?
My grandmother taught me when I was little, and then when I was about 18, my auntie was doing it, and I saw her at Thanksgiving, and she gave me yarn and needles, and I have been knitting almost daily since then. So it was the women in my life showed me how, and I think a lot of people have a similar story, and it just grabbed me in college and never let go.
As you said, very similar. Like my both my grandmother they knit, they crochet. My mom sews, knits, and I've been knitting, crocheting since before school, so maybe around 4. And
Wow.
I've always done it in a form or another, so I definitely understand that. And seeing aunties and people in our family do it in several occasions anywhere they go. So
Yeah,
that's a good influence. Donc,
definitely.
Andrea tricote depuis qu'elle est toute petite, sa grand-mère, ses tantes, puis c'est de là que ça lui vient comme beaucoup de nous, donc c'est un héritage familial. Puis depuis qu'elle est à l'université, college, que ça l'a jamais quitté. Good. Donc, my subsequent question, what inspires you? You started, when did you start designing? Tell me anything you want to tell me about your design process or What makes you happy about it?
I always wanted to make things kind of my own, and it took me a long time to learn how to do it well. I think that
Mm,
was like since I started knitting, I started by making things up
yeah.
before I even learned about how to read a knitting pattern. That took me a long time. And once I learned about knitting patterns, that helped me to be much better at making things up. But I think in 2009 was my first published pattern in
Okay. Mhm.
knitty.com. So fall 2009, if anybody wants to see my very first published
Yes, we
knitting
want to see
pattern.
that.
It was called Hex. It was an orange shawl. And then I was a teacher at that time. I taught a bunch of grades. And at that time, I was teaching eighth grade. And then I quit teaching, and then I eventually just started designing full time. And we moved to BC in 2012. And that was when I didn't get another job. I just kept designing. So,
Where were you living before?
Seattle. Yeah.
I sort of forget about that. It's like in my mind, you're Canadian.
I am Canadian.
You
We
are.
went to a lot of trouble to get our Canadian citizenship, which we are delighted by. We also have American, my partner and I also have American citizenship.
Donc, je demandais à Andrea comment elle a commencé le design et dans le fond, elle me disait que depuis qu'elle a commencé à tricoter, même avant de suivre des patrons, dans le fond, elle faisait ses propres tricots, curieuse de comment ça fonctionnait. Et c'est en 2009 qu'elle a fait son premier patron dans Knitty, qui s'appelle X. So you said it was an orange sweater?
Shawl, like a wrap.
Shawl.
It was a big rectangle.
Okay, an orange wrap, and it's called X, and it's in Knitty Fall?
Fall 2009. It was on
OK.
the cover.
OK, so automne 2009, Knitty, c'est son premier patron. Ensuite, c'est ça, dans le fond, elle était professeure d'école. En 2012, elle a déménagé au Canada et c'est vraiment à ce moment-là qu'elle a commencé à designer à plein temps et ne plus enseigner à l'école. Donc, Andrea, well, thank you for sharing your creativity with us. You inspire us with your design, and now with your books. Your first book was published. I looked at the. I've been looking through the books, but I realized I didn't check what date was ALTERKNIT, your first one, published.
That was in August of 2017. So a few years ago now.
And now in 2023, you are putting out KnitOvation. So can you tell us like the evolution of this project? Like how did ALTERKNIT came to be? How is KnitOvation like a continuation of that? Tell us more about that.
I really enjoy taking deep dives into different aspects of knitting, and
Mhm.
colorwork is one that I really like. So I have designed a lot of different kinds of colorwork, and my partner was a trained artist, and he used to help me design colorwork motifs. And he came up with the idea actually for the book, saying we could make a whole bunch of motifs and make a whole book out of that. And I thought that was a good idea.
Yes.
So he uh, designed all the motifs in both books. He came up with all those ideas and named them. And then I knit them all and wrote the text for the books. So the first book was just a new idea for us, and we didn't know how well it would be received, but it was very well received, and people seemed to really like it. So I wanted to expand on that and make the library of motifs bigger. So there's a lot more motifs in the second book, but also I wanted to expand on the ideas in the first book with getting more in depth, thinking about yarn, choosing yarn for color work. And I have a whole chapter about that in the book,
Mhm.
including some Julie Aislinn yarns, which I'm wearing today.
I see with your descent pullover. Thank you.
Yeah, I love the fabric on this. This is nurtured fine, held together with a strand of Anatolia, and
Yeah.
it's like glowing. I really, really enjoy this fabric. And these same yarns are also in the yarn chapter in the
Yeah,
book.
when we look at the like yarn, well, it's called Yarn Gallery.
Yeah.
Then you explain how different fibers work together, and yes,
Yeah.
nurtured fine together with Anatolia are in there. So I will translate so that I
Yeah.
don't lose all of that. So
Yeah.
ok, faut que je switch en français. Donc, Andrea me disait que les livres, donc son premier livre qui s'appelle ALTERKNIT, juste ici en arrière, j'ai KnitOvation, mais on a. Ça va-tu tomber? Haha! Donc, le premier livre d'Andrea, c'est ALTERKNIT. Dans le fond, comment c'est venu à naître, c'est que le partenaire d'Andrea est un artiste. Donc, c'est lui qui a créé les motifs qu'on voit dans le livre, et Andrea a tricoté les motifs. Il y a des patrons dans le livre aussi qui vous permettent d'utiliser les motifs, et elle parle de comment choisir vos laines. Donc, c'est vraiment un projet commun. Et cette année, en 2023, il y a KnitOvation, qui est juste ici, qui est une continuation. Et Andrea me disait qu'il y a plus de motifs. Il y a aussi une plus grosse partie qui parle de comment bien choisir la laine, des exemples de choix de couleurs, justement aussi quelle couleur choisir pour avoir l'effet que vous voulez. Dans le fond, ça vous permet de créer aussi vos propres tricots en utilisant les motifs, puis en faisant des choix qui sont propres à vous pour des couleurs plus soit plus contrastantes ou plus complémentaires, c'est pas le bon mot, mais en tout cas. Donc, vous choisissez le ton que vous voulez donner à votre tricot avec tous les choix qu'elle vous donne dans le livre. Andrea, I was thinking, I've been flipping through them, and alternate I had at home for a while, but do you want to show us some of your favorite motifs? Ones that make you smile, or one that you haven't used yet in a project that you would like to use?
That sounds great. And I went away to grab my copy that I have in French.
Oui,
So,
c'est vrai, le livre est disponible. Le livre est disponible, en tout cas, le premier est disponible en français. Sûrement que le deuxième va venir aussi. J'en profite pour mentionner, Andrea, I'm just going to mention, we didn't talk about this. We talked about doing a giveaway together. I didn't think about how to do it on YouTube. I'm not even sure that I can do this on here, so
yeah.
no. That's what I was thinking, but we will have a couple copies of your books to give out, so be on the lookout for that. We'll tell you more on other platforms, but
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, the giveaway can be later, but I
Yes.
do have a copy in French for your French speakers, which I'm very excited to share. So there are lots of languages for the first book. The second one is only in English so far, but hopefully soon it will be in French. So I'll show you. This one
Oh,
is
yes! Yes! Hippopotame.
hippos. You asked for one that made me smile, and the hippos is it every time. It's their little round butts that gets me.
I love it. So that's in the first book. I will say one that caught my eye in the first one. Am I gonna be able to do this? It's okay, so it's this one called, but it's spiral. It's called Spiral. But I was really impressed with how much I don't know if detail would be the right word, but like the ingenuity of how the spiral was made. I just think it's simple because the repeat is somewhat short, but also when you put it together, it's complex. Donc, j'ai demandé à Andrea c'était quoi son motif préféré du premier livre. Donc, vous avez vu que le livre est disponible en français. Vous pouvez le trouver justement pour les amis du Québec. Je l'ai vu chez Omer de Serre, la semaine passée. Donc, c'est ça, Andrea a dit que les hippopotames, c'était un motif qui la faisait sourire. Et moi, j'aimais bien les spirales. Je trouve que pour un motif qui n'est pas trop long, la complexité et de quoi ça a l'air dans l'ensemble, Ça donne vraiment un beau rendu. So tell us about the new one, the new one that just came out. What did you add to it? What's different than from the first one? I'm guessing that you've learned from the first one, and there's probably some differences with the second one.
Yeah, we added the yarn chapter is definitely an expansion on how to use different yarns in colorwork.
Yes.
And that was a thing that I very much enjoyed doing because I'm very interested in the complexities of yarn. There are also 3 new patterns in the book, and in the first book, the patterns were focused really on taking one motif and putting it onto something.
Yeah.
And like how to repeat a motif around a project. This project or this book, KnitOvation, has more complex motifs. So they use maybe more than one motif combined together. And they use like reshaping of the motifs, so kind of modifying them to fit within the design.
I love that.
And then there's a section explaining how I design them and how other people can kind of take those as a jumping off point to make their own design. So there's like empty charts that you can fill in.
Donc, j'ai demandé à Andrea, avec son deuxième livre, je lui disais sûrement que tu as appris avec ton premier qu'il y a des choses différentes dans le deuxième que tu as voulu rajouter. Donc, elle nous parle qu'il y a des nouveaux patrons, parce que chaque livre a des patrons qui vous permettent d'utiliser les chartes pour commencer. Dans son deuxième livre, les patrons qui sont proposés utilise plus qu'une charte. Des fois, vous montre aussi comment modifier les chartes pour les utiliser quand il y a des diminutions ou à certains endroits où vous devez les modifier. Peut-être une poche, il faut qu'il soit plus petit, près du col, tout ça. Et il y a aussi des grilles vides où vous pouvez créer vos propres motifs. Bref, le deuxième livre est un petit peu plus... dans le fond, c'est la suite, c'est un peu plus avancé, puis ça vous permet de pousser un peu plus le sujet. So your favorite motif from one of your favorite ones from the second book? I'm trying to find mine. Oh, this one.
I like these little pandas quite a lot. Another cute one, although this leaf motif, I think I will use a lot. And I think I've seen it used already. I think it will be very useful. But
it's true. Yeah, that's what I like. You know, like when I mean, I've been knitting for a long time, but in my adult life, knitting, you know, like my own knits and doing my own thing, I go off a lot of how would you call those books? You know, like guide to top down sweaters or you know, accessories for everyday life, whatever. Just like basic patterns that you add motifs, that you had stitch patterns. That's what I was doing. Like I didn't even you know, I don't know how to explain, but you know, my grandmothers taught me how to knit together with my mom, and I don't even think that I was on Ravelry when like everybody knew that Ravelry was a thing. Like I was doing my own thing. I don't know how to say. So for the longest time, you know, as you said, because my mom used to do that a lot too. It's like you have a template, you know how a sweater is made, you know how an accessory is made, and then you make it, you know, you make it your own. So that's what I like about these books. These are really my type of books that I like to have in my crafting, like in my library. So I will just show my favorite is the strawberries, because strawberries is my favorite fruit. It's the month of June, and I think that these are super fun to use. I'm seeing these in a hat, probably a cowl, but what about an all over sweater? I think that could be great
so
too.
Cute. That would be so fun.
Yes. So as I said, these are my favorite types of books. I just like to look at the swatches and I find this inspiring. I don't remember what I translated and what I did not translate. I translated
Um,
about
I think you need to go back to when you asked me about what my favorite motif in
oh,
KnitOvation was.
yes.
I think that was where we didn't translate.
Which one? Wow, my brain has a
That's
very
okay.
short memory. Which one is it?
I liked
Oh
the
yeah.
pandas and this leaf one. I
Donc, je
thought those
demandais à
ones were.
Andrea, je dis où est-ce que j'étais rendue dans la traduction? Donc, elle disait que son motif préféré dans le livre, c'était le panda, comme elle nous a montré, et que les petites feuilles qui étaient à côté, c'est un motif qu'elle utilise ou qu'elle va utiliser souvent. Moi, par la suite, j'ai montré le motif de fraise. Oui, pour des accessoires, mais j'aime tellement les fraises que je pense que je pourrais faire un chandail avec ça. Je vais, je vais regarder ça. Donc, des fraises sur un chandail. Andrea, your books are really, for me, a must for any knitter to have in their libraries. What do you wish, what are you excited to see people do with these books? What have you seen already?
What you described about having, I know what a sweater is, I know how to make an accessory, and then I make it my own. That is what I'm hoping that people will take the motifs and just customize everything that they make with color work. Um, the top down sweater book, like Tin Can Knits has that sweater book Strange Brew, which I think would be an awesome companion. So that's one thing that I hope is that knitters who that's how they like to knit is just to sort of um, customize and make things their own, that they'll use the book for that. I also hope that designers will use it just like any other stitch dictionary. So just like they might open up a Barbara Walker book or anything else and be like, I want that cable motif in my sweater, or like the Nora Gone books. They might put that into their designs. I'm hoping that I will see this in published work.
I,
So the limitations are just like make your own format. But
it's
other than that, like I would love to see published work that's like paid for designs using these motifs. And so far I've seen sweaters and socks, and people have already started knitting with the motifs, and I just get such a kick out of that. I show my partner and he loves seeing it. And if I get it myself together, I usually reshare on Instagram. So if you tag me, I'm at Andrea Rangel Knits on Instagram. If you tag me with one of your creations from my books, I usually reshare.
yes.
If I don't, it's usually because I'm just busy and didn't get to
Of
it.
course,
But
of
most of the
course.
time I
It's
do.
yeah, it happens to me too. It's like like sometimes I'm like, oh, did I miss something or but I feel this way. I know that like I'm gonna think that of myself where I'm like, oh no, I forgot to reshare somebody. But myself as a knitter, if somebody doesn't reshare what I do, I mean, of course I'm thinking this person is busy. But we put it shows. I think people see that you are and grateful is not the word, but you could be, but excited about what they're doing. Donc,
Yeah.
j'ai demandé à Andrea qu'est-ce qu'elle espérait qui arrive avec ses livres, qu'est-ce que vous allez faire avec. Et dans le fond, elle aime beaucoup voir vos projets faits avec les motifs. Si vous la taguez sur les réseaux sociaux, elle partage vos projets. Ça lui fait vraiment plaisir. Donc, at Andrea Rangel Knits. Comme c'est mentionné dans la description du vidéo aussi. Je pense que j'ai mis son site web. En tout cas, je vais rajouter ça après. Aussi, si vous faites des patrons, si vous êtes designer, Andrea dit qu'elle aime beaucoup voir des patrons qui utilisent les motifs de son livre. Donc, c'est quelque chose qui la rend joyeuse et aussi avec son partenaire qui a fait les motifs dans le livre. Ils se réjouissent de voir vos créations. So, Andrea, I'm so happy we got to talk about all of this and that people get to know more about you and your books. A question that I like to ask is, what's your it's to get to know you is what's your favorite thing to eat? And like if people come over, what's something that you like to make for your guests?
That is hard to say because I love cooking and baking, so I'm always trying new things. So, what do I love to eat? I mean, I guess right now in my mind, sushi is popping into my head. However, I love to eat in general. So I think making new foods and trying new things is really fun. And if someone's coming over, I will definitely bake. So I'll probably make a pie or I'll find out like what kinds of things they like and don't like. I might
What's your favorite kind of pie?
Probably apple is my favorite, but I always make pumpkin for Thanksgiving.
Mm.
And because we are Americans and Canadians, we always celebrate both Thanksgivings. so, so I always get pumpkin pie twice a year. But I make apple for American Thanksgiving as well as pumpkin because we usually spend it with more people. So we share.
I was going to say apple is one of my favorite. It reminds me, as a dessert with fall that is just behind us is how do you call that in English? Cobbler.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not an
Yes.
apple cobbler because is it still called a cobbler if you make it with oats and it's like
Yeah.
crispy?
The oat crispy topping is cobbler. There's another word if it's got
Like a biscuit?
pastry on top.
Yeah,
Pastry on top is a little different, but with stuff it's cobbler. Yeah.
yeah. Cool. Well, thank you for sharing. So we know that if you want to invite Andrea over at your house and you say we're having sushi, she will come.
Yes.
I just put this out there. Like now, people know. It's like they just say Andrea, we're making sushi, and then you have to go.
Mhm.
Uh, and yeah, pumpkin pie. I love that. I was going to say I'll send you the recipe and I'll share it in my stories on
Mm.
social media. But I made recently some cookies that use pumpkin puree in
Yum.
the batter with brown butter icing, and they're really
Yum. I
good.
always need more pumpkin recipes because when I make pumpkin pie, there's always like 1 cup of pumpkin left over.
And then you will use it in those cookies.
Exactly.
Donc, j'ai demandé à Andrea, pour apprendre à la connaître plus personnellement, ma question que j'aime demander, c'est qu'est-ce que tu aimes manger, qu'est-ce que tu aimes faire quand tu reçois des gens. Donc, Andrea aime manger des sushis. Si vous voulez qu'elle vienne manger chez vous, vous dites Andrea, j'ai fait des sushis et elle viendra. Ensuite, elle m'a dit qu'elle aimait beaucoup faire des desserts. Donc, souvent, elle fait des tartes, soit à la citrouille ou aux pommes. Et on a parlé un petit peu de croustade aux pommes. J'ai dit que je vous partagerais une recette, probablement dans ma newsletter. Je vais la mettre là, je pense, et peut-être sur les réseaux sociaux. Dans le fond, une recette de biscuits qui utilise de la purée de citrouille avec un beurre noisette pour le glaçage. Fun! So I really enjoyed talking to you. I'm happy that you were my first guest on the YouTube channel. I've decided to revive this thing. I think it's a little bit more permanent than IG lives. Well, it's not more permanent. I mean, they're still on Instagram, but I wanted to regroup them and so people get to learn about their favorite designers and what's out there to add to their creative tools, things like
Yeah.
your book. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining me. Where will we see you next? Do you have anything coming up with the book? What are you doing?
Here in Victoria, actually, on Saturday this week, I will be at TLC Fiber Arts signing books. And then if you want to join me online, it's in English, but Makers Mercantile has a
Nice.
knitting get together. That's a Zoom thing that's on December 5th. And I believe it's 5 to 6 p.m. Pacific time. And the link to that is on my website. So andrearangel.com. If you go to events, you'll be able to see all of that. And I will have a blog post, a guest post on your website coming
Yes.
soon about choosing colors, and I'll post that on my website too. So we'll be sharing about color choices as well.
You're so good. I did not forget about it, but I was like, Julie, you should have mentioned it. Donc, c'est ça, je demandais à Andrea quels étaient les prochains événements qu'elle faisait. Donc, elle a un événement en fin de semaine à un festival qui s'appelle le TLC Fiber
Arts.
Donc, elle sera là, mais elle disait qu'en anglais, si vous voulez se joindre à elle en ligne, il y a oh, I forgot, c'est Makers Mercantile.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Et donc, Makers Mercantile, le 5 décembre, a un get-together sur Zoom. Toutes les informations sont sur le site de Andrea. Si vous allez sur andrearangel.com, en dessous de la section événements, vous allez avoir les informations. C'est en anglais, mais vous pouvez apprendre plus de Andrea. Et bientôt, dans les prochaines semaines, Andrea écrit un blog post sur notre blog à nous et sur le sien. Ça sera comme ensemble. Et elle va nous parler de couleurs, de combinaisons. Donc, vous allez pouvoir apprendre et avoir un petit aperçu de qu'est-ce que vous allez trouver dans son livre et de son travail. So thank you so much. It was so nice spending time with you. I'm happy we got to do this. I'm wishing you a great day. Enjoy the sun. It's particularly hot today here.
Yeah, it's cold but sunny today. And thank you so much for having me. And I'm so impressed seeing you translate. That is so cool. Your brain must be switching between.
I hope I'm doing a good job. It's very important for me, and also, to make it accessible to as many people. Your book is available in French. And I know people are grateful for that, because Quebec has a very rich knitting history. And most of the books that we have in French comes from France. So having a Canadian author have their book translated to French is great.
Yeah.
Donc, on se dit au revoir. Et ça nous a fait plaisir de passer du temps ensemble. Merci de vous être joints à nous. Laissez-nous des messages si vous avez des questions. On va répondre. Et on vous souhaite une belle journée à tous. Have a great day, Andrea.
Thank you. You too. Bye, Julie.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.